Hey everybody, this is Roy Cannon, and today we're going to be taking a look at 3 different decks for Ashes Rise of the Phoenixborn. We're going to be taking a look at the Breaker of Fates box, which actually comes, it's one of the deluxe boxes, which comes with a box to store some of your cards, and then the Artist of Dreams, and the Scholar of Ruins. And these are all different Phoenixborn that use the new time magic dice, which I guess are not really new because Ashes has been around for a while now, but they're new to me. So the time dice, how does that work? Let's take a look at all of the stuff here for Ashes. So first off, I want to show off the time magic dice here. You do come with the dice here for this deluxe Phoenixborn set, and then also they have time magic where you can do as a minor action, you can spend one of the special ability symbols here with the turtle on it to place 1 status token on target unit control, and then you may remove 1 status token from a target unit or spell. So of course, anything that has to do with status tokens, these will work really well on. So let's take a look a little bit about these decks. All right, so let's take a look at Jericho here. Jericho has a battlefield of 7, 17 hit points, a spell board of 3. They have Prepare. This is a minor action. You can exhaust this and use the Hourglass symbol here to search your draw pile for 1 card, set it aside, shuffle your draw pile, and then place the set aside card on top of it, basically allowing you to kind of like scry your deck or find a card in your deck and put it on top. So you can kind of like tutor cards to the top of your deck, which seems pretty good. Summon Turtle Guard. This is takes basically your whole turn to do, takes a basic action, and then takes your whole turn to actually activate, and you have to spin one of the turtle sides of the die, and then you'll be able to put a Turtle Guard conjuration into your battlefield, which we'll take a look at him real quick. He basically has rooted, he can't attack, and this unit may be guarded against a unit that is being attacked, so he can help other units and guard them, and then withdraw while this unit is exhausted, prevent all damage dealt to this unit from being received. So basically he can make it so you don't take any damage while this unit is exhausted. So he has 2 attack, 3 life, and 1 recovery. And then also in here there's a focus, so if you have multiple of these out, if you don't put a Turtle Guard into the battlefield, you can place an exhaustion token on an unexhausted Turtle Guard, and then place an exhaustion token on target unexhausted unit and opponent controls. So basically exhausting their units by exhausting your turtles, which seems pretty cool. And then there is Summon Time Hopper. So this is a standard action to do. It's a minor action to actually put out on the board, of course costing an Hourglass again. Place a Time Hopper conjuration into the battlefield, which is the little rabbit guys. They have Gift 1 when this unit comes into play. You can place 1 status token on another target unit. And it has Fearful cannot block. So this is kind of like the opposite. These guys, the turtles could attack, these guys can't block. They have 1 attack and 1 life. And recovery of 0, so they get to place status tokens out on things. Then also a focus here, then if you control an unexhausted Time Hopper with 1 or more status tokens on it, you may place an additional Time Hopper combination into the battlefield, kind of being able to help you spam out these little hopping guys. So, and you actually have 4 of those that you can actually put into play. So pretty cool conjurations there. Then for other spells, we have Foresight. This is a ready spell. During the draw card step, you may draw 1 additional card, so you can always get extra cards in your hands. That's pretty cool, allowing you to get more cards in your deck. And then look at the top 2 cards of target player's draw pile, place 1 of those cards on the bottom of the draw pile, and place the other card on the top of the draw pile. Being able to help you scry the deck and make it so you can get the cards that you actually want. So cool. So you get 3 of those Foresights. And then Standard Bearer, this is an ally. Cost a Hourglass and a basic. Resourceful, when this unit comes into play, place 1 status token on this unit. At the beginning of the player turn phase, place another status token on this unit. So that's pretty cool. And then it has Inspire. When this unit is declared as an attacker, you may choose any number of other attacking units up to the number of status tokens on this unit to add 1 to the chosen unit's attack for the remainder of the turn. So basically kind of leads the charge, making all the other characters attacking with her be able to have +1 attack up to the number of status tokens she has, which of course with the Time Hoppers you can put more status tokens on her as well. And because you can always spend these to put status tokens on her, you can kind of buff her up. If you have a bunch of units in play and she has a battlefield of 7, so you can get a ton of units in play, you can basically beef those guys up and make it so that they're leading the charge even better. Then Swift Messenger here. This one takes a standard action to do, uses the little Hourglass, and then it has the ability Swift. After this unit comes in, after a unit comes into play in an opponent's battlefield, you may play this unit from your hand without playing its action cost. That seems awesome. So you can just throw it into play. Once the unit comes into play, draw a card. So that seems really cool. So you can basically draw cards when it comes into play, and you can kind of cheat it into play during your opponent's turn. This is pretty fun. 1 attack, 1 life, and 1 recover. So that seems good there. So we have 3 of those. And then Blink. This is an action spell. You play it and then you discard it, and it costs just a basic, and it only costs a minor action there. Remove a target unit from the game. At the end of the turn, place that unit back into its owner's battlefield, which is great for things that allow you to draw cards and things like that. So you can basically like blink them out of play and basically put them back into play. So that's pretty cool. And it can help you like get rid of different tokens and things like that you don't want on them. Accelerate, action spell. Draw 1 card, change 2 dice in your active pool to the side of your choice. You may then take 2 additional side actions this turn. So basically boosting you up, being able to do extra side actions and changing dice to the things you need them to. And that costs an hourglass to play. And then we have Stasis, alteration spell. After an opponent declares attackers, you may play this spell from your hand without paying its side action cost. It also a reaction spell until it is in play. This unit is considered to be exhausted as if it was if it was declared as the attacker, it is no longer attacking. So basically you interrupt and basically exhaust, kind of exhaust them by putting this on them, and then make it so that they're no longer attacking. So it's like, hey, you're attacking me? Nope, you're no longer attacking me. So this is a reaction when you do it that way. And then they can spend a main action. Basically, you can spend their entire turn, a main action and their side action, to discard this card. So you can kind of like lock up a unit with that. And then Outmatch, you may play a spell after an opponent declares an attack. Add 4 to the attack value of the target unit you control for the remainder of the turn. So they try to attack you, boom, you're super strong, and you're going to be able to hit them back even harder with your counterattacks. So that's pretty cool there. And then Flash Strike, you may play this spell after your opponent has chosen blockers. Choose a unit it controls with 1 or more status tokens on it. For the remainder of the turn, add 2 to its attack value. It gains the following ability. Quick Strike. When this unit is attacking, it deals damage before other units in battle. So this is pretty cool, because if you have somebody with a status token on them, they get extra attack, and they're going to hit your opponent before they're hitting you back with their basically their counterattack. So that can be huge in knocking your opponent out without you getting hurt. So that is basically all the cards in Jericho's deck. All right, so we're going to look at Hope from the Artist of Dreams expansion deck here. Hope has Duplicate. This is a side action, and you have to exhaust it, and it costs a basic. Choose a conjuration you control with a life value of 1. Place a copy of that conjuration to the battlefield at the end of the turn. Destroy that copy. So basically you can cheat a conjuration to the battlefield, a copy of a conjuration to the battlefield, maybe attack with it and let it die off, and then it would have been gone anyway. Or maybe it has an ability that will trigger when it comes into play. That's cool, things like that. Let's take a look at some of these conjurations and things that you can get into play anyway. So Summon Wishing Wing. This costs a standard to do, and it costs a standard to actually activate, and you exhaust it with a time token. So she uses the actual time and some of the illusion magic in her deck. So you'll have time magic and illusion magic with her normally. That's kind of the card that she's going to need. And of course, illusion magic is one that's in the base game. So yeah, let's take a look at Wishing Wing here. So you can bring one of the Wishing Wing conjurations into the battlefield, which are these birds. It has Opportunist 1 when this conjuration comes into play. If you have a turtle in your active pool, place a status token on this unit, which is great because they are all about status tokens. When this unit is destroyed, you may draw up to X cards, where X is the number of status tokens on this unit. Also, its attack is X. So if you can get a bunch of status tokens on these Wishing Wings, they could be pretty strong. They do only have 0 recovery, but that's awesome, because if you were able to have the turtles in there, they're going to be able to have that extra buff there. And then focus on this. Then place 1 status token on Wishing Wing. So if you're able to have multiple of these Summon Wishing Wings out, you're going to be able to basically boost them up really fast and be able to make them have more attack and let you draw more cards. Summon Fox Spirit. This costs a basic, and this costs a mask, so this is an illusion card. So place a Fox Spirit Conjuration into the battlefield. So let's see what that guy does. So Fox Spirit, he has Keen. When this unit comes into play, you may raise 1 die in your active pool 1 level, helping you get those dice you need. And then Pounce, when this unit is declared as an attacker, add 2 to its attack value for the remainder of the turn. Then you add 2 to its attack value for the remainder of the turn if it is targeting an exhausted unit. So basically, he's going to have extra attack when he's attacking guys who are exhausted. He has 1 attack, 1 life, and 0 recovery normally. And then also, if this is focused, you may change the activation cost of this spell to a side action instead of a main action. So you can do like the little minor action instead of having to pay for the full thing. That's kind of cool. Then we have a ready spell here, Dream Fracture. This is a standard action to do. It costs a mass to actually get out, so another illusion card. Choose a target opponent that has 1 or more dice in their active pool. Lower 1 die in their active pool 1 level. Then deal 1 damage to target Phoenixborn if they have no dice in their active pool. So you'll deal damage to them if they have no power dice in their active pool. So if they have none that are on like the power side, they're going to take damage. So you can have these and you can be lowering their dice and then also dealing damage to their Phoenixborn. So Keepsake, this is a ready spell. After one of your dice in your opponent's active pool, reroll or lowered 1 level or change the side of your choice, place 1 status token on the spell for each affected die without exceeding 4 on this spell. Then you can discard the spell and deal damage to a target equal to the number of status tokens that were on this spell. So basically, you're going to be building this up with status tokens. And then you're basically, which can be actually put on it by something like Dream Fracture. And then you're going to discard this to do damage to a unit. So basically, you're kind of building that up to be able to throw it at somebody and be able to wreck them, hopefully, in theory. Then we have Reimagine. This is a ready spell as well. After you play a power dice using the best side of the die, whether it's illusion or time. So if you do it with either of those, you may use die on the spell to play reactions. You may place a die on the spell from your exhausted pool at the end of the round. So this kind of allows you to save up dice to be able to use for your reaction spells, which we'll get into here in just a moment. But we're going to look at some allies first. So we have Dream Lock Mage. This is a redirect, minor action, lower 1 die power side on target opponent's active pool 1 level. So once again, just with a bunch of the illusion stuff, you're kind of like lowering different dice. And if you remember, that's what the illusion die does with its special ability, is allow you to lower dice as well. And this has 2 attack, 3 life, and 1 recovery. It also takes 2 of the mask side of the illusion dice to play. And then we have Realm Walker. It takes a bunch of different dice to do. It takes some illusion and sometimes, so you have to have the best illusion side, and then the second best time side, and then another basic to be able to play this. So it should be good. This is when this unit is declared as an attacker, choose a target opponent and place 1 exhaustion token onto an unexhausted unit of their choice that they control. Then you has attack 3 and 3 life and 2 recovery. So this allows you to basically exhaust an opponent before you're attacking them, which can make it so they can't counterattack. But they do get to choose which one that is. So, but still really good, basically making it so that you're exhausting their stuff. Then Double Down. This is a reaction spell, which of course reaction spells can be kind of triggered with some of the other stuff comboing it together in this deck. When you play a spell after a conjuration you control with a life value of 1 is destroyed as a result of attack, spell ability, or dice that opponent controls, place 2 copies of that conjuration spell into the battlefield. So as your stuff dies, you can kind of put stuff back out, which if you remember, we have the conjurations for the Fox Spirits. You can be throwing more foxes back out there because they have 1 life. And you also have the Wishing Wings, which they have 1 life as well. So if you're able to time that right, you can kind of spam more of those out onto the board. So you have 3 of those in the deck. And also Void Pulse. You can play this spell after you declare attackers deal damage to a target unit an opponent controls equal to the number of attacking units. If that destroys the unit, after the unit is destroyed, draw 2 cards and then change 2 dice in target player's active pool to the side of your choice. So you can either boost up your dice or make their dice worse. So that's pretty cool. And it's based on the amount of creatures you have attacking, which is really cool when you're basically spamming and cheating a bunch more extra of these conjurations into play. And then we have Ensnare. This is a reaction spell. You may play this spell after an opponent declares a guard. Deal 2 damage to that target guarding unit or Phoenixborn. So basically, they're trying to stop you from attacking who you want. You can be like, hey, I'm going to ensnare you. Boom. And that is what comes in Hope's deck. And then lastly here, let's take a look at Rowan. Rowan uses the time dice as well as the sacrificial dice, which the sacrificial dice allow you to get allies out of your discard pile if you damage your Phoenixborn and use the little goat symbol on them, kind of like the little cultisty style stuff. But let's take a look at what his stuff does. He has a battlefield of 5, 18 hit points, a spell board of 5, and then he adds Constript. After an ally you control is destroyed, you may place it face down under this card, discarding any other allies underneath this card. Then you can do Exhume. This is place an ally underneath this card into the battlefield, then destroy it. So basically, if you have allies that have abilities that happen when either A, they come into play, or B, they're discarded from or destroyed from play, then you're going to be able to trigger those abilities, basically spamming it out into play real quick, which is pretty cool. So you can kind of like jump them in and out real quick, and then basically hopefully allow you to do those abilities. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that comes in his deck. You have Summon Rune Dweller. This is a sacrificial, or a little knife die here from your sacrificial dice, or ceremonial magic dice. And then you also have to have an Hourglass. Then you place a Rune Dweller Conjuration into your battlefield, which these are these little snakes. Then at the end of the round, this says Blight at the end of the round, or when this unit is destroyed as a result of an attack an opponent controls, deal 1 damage to target Phoenixborn. And it has 3 life and 2 attack, so this guy is pretty strong with that 3 attack on there. It's pretty cool. Then we have Chant of Erosion. So this is a raised spell for your spell board. After an ally you control is destroyed, which could be happening from his ability here, place a status token from a spell on, or place a status token on the spell if it has no status tokens on it. Remove 1 status token from the spell to attach the Eroding Conjuration spell to a target unit, which eroding basically makes it so your opponent has -1 attack and -1 cover, and at the end of the round, deal 1 damage to the attached unit, then discard this spell. So you basically erode their units as the game goes along. So you can get these Chants of Erosion, which can help you put those eroding on them. Then we have Chant of Hostility. After an ally you control is destroyed, place 1 status token on here. If it has no status token on it, then you can remove a status token from here and then add 1 to the attack value of a target unit for the remainder of the turn. So basically allowing you to buff up your guys if you guys have died. Let's look at the allies you can actually get to be able to actually put under Rowan here. This is Crypt Guardian. This guy has Guard. He takes a bunch of different dice. Of course, he needs Ceremonial and Time Magic dice to play. The unit may guard a unit. Okay, Shackle. At the end of the round, or when this unit is destroyed as a result of a spell ability, dice power, or spell ability or dice power, you may place 1 exhaustion token on an unexhausted unit. So basically, when this guy goes out of play, you're going to be able to exhaust your opponent's guys, which is pretty cool. So you have 3 of those, which also helps you trigger with Rowan's ability because you can pop them into play and pop them back out if they have died before. So that's pretty cool. Then we have Ritualists. This is takes 1 ceremonial knife die there. And then they have Incant. When this unit comes into play, search your draw pile or discard pile for a spell with Chant in its title. Reveal it and place it into your hand, then search your draw pile and shuffle it. Which, both of your chants here with the Hostility and Erosion, which are kind of like those ready spells you could have, do that. Also 1 attack, 1 life, and 1 recovery. So that's a thing you can do to grab those cards out of your deck. And you have Knowledge Seeker. So this one is Seek 3. So basically, when this unit comes into play, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and draw a pile, place each on the top or bottom of your draw pile, allowing you to scry your deck to draw what you want. Then you have Bequest. When this unit is destroyed, you may draw 1 card. So it's another thing that you could put underneath Rowan to be able to draw cards when it kind of pops into play and pops out of play. Cool. And then we have Discovery. So this is a action spell, and it says attach the Red Rains conjuration or conjured alteration spell to your Phoenixborn, then shuffle this card into your draw pile. So we'll take a look at what that actually does, because that just gets that card. So the conjuration says at the end of the round, you may deal 1 damage to target unit. Then if there are 3 Red Rains drops attached to your Phoenixborn, place a Reborn Chimera conjuration into your battlefield. And this has Spell Guard, so basically your opponent can't mess with it. So this is pretty cool. At the end of each round, you're going to be able to deal damage to units. And there are 3 of these that you could get. And when you do that, you get that Chimera out there, but you're going to attach these to him. And then basically at the end of the round, you're going to be dealing damage to your opponent's units. So getting those out there will help buff him up. And if you're able to get all 3 out, you get the Reborn Chimera, which basically is pretty hard to pull off. But if you're able to do it, after this unit destroys a unit an opponent controls by attacking, deal 3 damage to that opponent's Phoenixborn. It has 4 attack and 4 life and has 0 recovery, which is pretty interesting because facing off the Chimeras is all about what the solo stuff is, and getting these Red Rains things are basically how they do ultimates. So Rowan kind of has a little ultimate of his own, which is kind of like a nice little theme flavor touch there. Then we also have Rapture as a action spell. This says destroy an exhausted ally you control to deal 1 damage to all units an opponent controls. So this is really good if a player has a ton of little small guys. When you're playing against solo, you have to kind of math it out just right to be able to get rid of one of your own guys to do 1 damage to everybody else. But it could be good in the right situation, so you have 3 of those. Then you have Excavate. This is discard 3 cards from the top of your draw pile. If you do, place 1 of them into your hand, then deal 3 damage to a target unit. So this is really cool because it costs a lot to play out a little bit, but you're dealing 3 damage, so you're basically knocking something out, hopefully, and then also getting a card into your hand out of the 3 that you discarded seems pretty solid. And then Era's End. This is an action spell. Resolve all effects that trigger at the end of the round on unexhausted cards currently in play in the order of your choice. So this is really good with like the Red Rains, raindrops, or the Red Raindrops, because you could trigger those off of Rowan. Then you could also trigger some end of round stuff that might trigger with some of the other characters. I think the Guardian here at the end of the round, or when this unit is destroyed, you can exhaust stuff. So if you're able to get him out, you can also kind of like exhaust stuff early. So that kind of just lets you pretend like it's the end of the round, even though it technically isn't, just for those cards. So that is what comes in Rowan's deck. I also want to say that the box comes in for this is really cool for being able to take it on the go for solo. Like I'll throw some of the dice in there, and then I'll have a couple of my Chimera in here so I can face off against those, I guess, when I'm traveling. I've actually played this in a plane as well. And then, of course, I have the decks in here that I can play against or use to play against those Chimera, kind of allowing me to mix up the game. And then as far as all the rest of the tokens, I kind of like shove them in a bag beneath with all the Chimera dice and stuff like that. So I have this that I can throw in my backpack and then be able to play the game on the go. It's kind of a little bit more compact for my solo games of Ashes. So I am definitely not an expert on Ashes Rise of the Phoenixborn. I've just really been enjoying the game solo with the new Red Rains stuff that comes out that allows you to play against Chimeras. So I'm going to be kind of looking at this from that aspect of playing the game mostly solo or cooperative and not as much on the strategy side of like the head-to-head combat stuff. So, but I've really been enjoying the solo play of the game. So the Jericho Reborn, the basically the stuff that comes in the deluxe box here, which adds the time dice, which is mostly kind of the theme of this review. Basically, I enjoy her stuff. She has a lot of like scrying through the deck, going through different stuff. Playing against solo, I got crushed multiple times in a row because I feel like a lot of her stuff is about like reacting to your opponent and kind of setting stuff up. And I feel like against the Chimera, you want to do damage. And I didn't feel like I had the finesse personally. I enjoyed her deck. I really enjoy what she brings to the game. I do feel like if you basically deck build with her, she'd have a lot of really cool stuff, especially because of how good she is at searching through the deck and getting those cards that you need into play. In Ashes, you start with the 5 cards that you start with, but if there's even more things you want to grab out of the deck, she would be great at that. So with my experience, I wasn't as good with her. I think I'm going to give her a 7, but I still really enjoyed what she brought, and I do like that it comes with the deluxe box here that allows you to have a new box to put stuff in. I basically carry this around with me for all of my solo stuff. Then Hope has a lot of interesting stuff as well. She does even more stuff with the status tokens, which is actually what the time dice are all about, basically boosting up different stuff of the stats. I love the fact that the little the bird conjurations in here she has that she can basically like get them extra strong based off of the status tokens they have on it, and figuring out ways to like buff them up even more is pretty cool. And the fact that she's able to kind of like duplicate and spam out a whole bunch of conjurations I thought was really cool. I'm definitely going to give her an 8. I really enjoyed the way that her deck works. She has a bunch of reaction stuff as well where she's kind of like reacting to different things and kind of like ensnaring. I just feel like she's a stronger character, and I just enjoy her style of play even more. And the fact that she uses that illusion dice as well, being able to kind of like mitigate your opponent's dice, which can feel a little bit broken sometimes in Red Rains. I think you're basically allowed to kind of like deny the Chimera some Red Rain stuff, is kind of how you can kind of mess that up, which is kind of cool. And then Rowan, I think, is my favorite out of the 3. I really enjoyed all of his stuff of being able to kind of spam guys, like blink them in and out from the discard pile. I liked building up all of his things, and kind of like as his allies die, he gets even stronger. And just the thematic touch of the Red Rains that he's collecting himself and making himself more powerful and reincarnating undead Chimera. I don't know, I just feel like the theme is really fun there. And then just really enjoy his ceremonial stuff with being able to pull allies out of the discard pile and being able to spam that stuff out again. I'm going to give him an 8.5, so really enjoyed his deck as well. And I do like the fact that these other decks, you need the deluxe set to actually play with, because you need those time dice to actually play with them. But I do enjoy kind of what they bring to the game, and it's cool to be able to play all these different Phoenixborn against the Chimera in like solo and cooperative play. Mostly what I've been doing is basically playing all of the decks just straight as they come out of the box. So I don't know if necessarily Plaid Hat suggests you doing that or not. I mean, I feel like they suspect a lot of people will get these decks and immediately deck build with them, which I feel like a lot of these decks have a ton of potential for deck building, especially among each other, because they all have the time magic like conjurations and stuff like that. And some of those time magic conjurations would be even better in a different deck than they are even in their own deck, which is really cool. Anyway, so that's kind of what I've thought of these 3 decks for Ashes Rise of the Phoenixborn. Let me know below if you've been playing some solo Ashes Rise of the Phoenixborn and what your thoughts are on some of these decks. Anyway, I've been Roy Kennedy. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and let me know how you've been playing Ashes. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one.